I shared before, I and my team learned yesterday that firefighting water from East Palestine was going to be sent to Deer Park, which is one of the 34 cities in Harris County, for disposal. One thing that I want to share that I think the public should know is that I learned about this not from a regulatory agency, not from the company, but from a member of the press. And that's unacceptable. My goal tonight is not to create more worry than there already is. But I know that our community was taken aback by the news, just as I was. And I don't want to be sitting on information that is relevant to this very public, very concerning disaster that is still ongoing in Ohio. I also want folks to know there are many things we don't know that we should know. That doesn't mean that something is wrong, and I want to stress that point. That doesn't mean that something is wrong. But it's worth noting. My team and I have been working with authorities from across the county, from across the state, and from across the federal government to get answers on this situation. We've spoken with Texas Molecular, which is the waste disposal company that is receiving this water. We've spoken with several officials at the Department of Transportation, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, as well as with several experts both from industry and environmental protection. I want to acknowledge, of course, Mayor Mouton in Deer Park, my colleague Commissioner Adrian Garcia, and Congresswoman Jackson Lee, who's in her role in the House's Homeland Security Committee has been helping us run this down. The government officials have readily provided the information they have, but what we're learning is that they themselves don't seem to have the full information. I'm still not sure why. I'm not clear on who has the full picture of what is happening here, and that is a problem. We've got several open questions, but I wanted to provide an update with what we do know so far. Part of what we know so far is there is something fundamentally broken with how these incidents are dealt with, at least with how information is communicated. If not even I, as the local executive and head of emergency management of a county larger than 25 states, have proper information about what is taking place, if I am not receiving that, how can I possibly do my job of keeping our community safe? I promised I'd keep the community informed, so here's what we've learned over the past 24 hours, and we have been on the phone non-stop. First of all, we heard the news yesterday that some contaminated firefighting water will be coming to Harris County. Today, in speaking with Texas Molecular, we learned that in fact some of the firefighting water is already here. According to Texas Molecular, the water began arriving to Harris County, quote, last Wednesday-ish. That's what they told us. According to Texas Molecular, Harris County has received $500,000. According to Texas Molecular, Harris County has received 500,000 gallons of firefighting water and will be receiving up to 1.5 million more gallons for around 2 million gallons total. Texas Molecular said they're getting around 30 trucks per day from East Palestine, Ohio. The company has assured us that they're storing the firefighting water, quote, in a way that removes the risk to water, groundwater, air emissions, and protects public health, that the water is well within their permits, capabilities, and experience in managing waters like these safely and in compliance. However, there are three major concerns. First, the concern about what exactly is being injected into the injection wells and what kind of chemical reactions there might be between the material coming in and the other material that's been injected nearby or that's at the surface. We as Harris County don't know right now, and our pollution control department doesn't know, and our county attorney's office doesn't know the exact composition and dilution level of what is in the water. On this concern, we are in touch with Texas Molecular. They've assured us they will be providing a full list of chemicals in the water, and we've also requested the permits from the TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. We've not yet received either, but we hope to receive that information soon. The second concern is about the human health from the transport and the health of the workers. We've learned from Texas Molecular that they're receiving the water from trucks. It's possible, I'm told by the experts, that the water is first transported by rail and then by truck for the last leg. The fact that we don't know, it may make no difference, okay? But we want to know, we need to know. That's why we're here, is to know these things on behalf of the community. And so I'm asking that question, and either way, we need to know what precautions are being taken as those materials are transported, be it by rail or be it by truck. What precautions are being taken at the site of the well? The last thing I want is for our community, or one of the many, many communities between Ohio and Harris County, Texas, to be the next place where there's an accident with materials from this derailment. On the second point of safety and transportation and worker safety, we're looking into any violations by this company in terms of a safety record with the TCEQ and with OSHA. So far, good news is the record seems to be strong, but our departments are still looking into it. We're also reaching out to the Department of Transportation. We have reached out to see if there's anything they can do to ensure the transport is as safe as possible, and they promise to get back to us on that. Third, the concern about why this water is coming all the way to Texas. Look, I'm told there are about 200,000 oil and gas injection wells in the U.S. and many in Harris County, and we're all hearing this, right? It's normal for there to be these kinds of injection wells. But what I'm also told is there are very few wells that accept hazardous commercial waste. I'm told around 10. So yes, Harris County is one of the very few places that can store these materials. What that means is this isn't as routine as we're talking about a little bit, but it also means that perhaps it makes sense it's coming all the way over here. However, I'm told there's a facility in Romulus, Michigan, and there's one in Vickery, Ohio, that could also take these materials. Why are these materials not being taken somewhere closer? Is there something these jurisdictions know that we don't know? To be clear, there may be logistical reasons for all of this. There may be economic reasons. Perhaps Texas Molecular outbid the Michigan facility. It doesn't mean there's something nefarious going on, but we do need to know the answer to this question. So we're expecting an answer from the Department of Transportation, and we're working to reach out to Ohio EPA, which is actually a state entity. We learned from someone with the federal EPA that the Ohio EPA, the state entity, is contracting with companies to transport the wastewater disposal. The Ohio EPA, with contractors, we're told, identified Texas Molecular as a facility that could dispose of the wastewater. But Texas Molecular is just doing the disposal, they're not doing the transport. There's nothing right now to tell us there's going to be an accident in transport, that this is being done in such a way that is not compatible with the well, that there's a nefarious reason why the water is coming here and not to a closer site. But it is our job to do basic due diligence on that information. We're going to continue doing that work, and we're going to continue keeping the public updated as we know more. Here's the thing. We all know, and maybe this is the elephant in the room, we all know we're the petrochemical capital of the world, and we're proud of that. We know many of our jobs depend on that. All of us in some way are tied to the industry in our community. But that doesn't mean we don't deserve clean air and clean water and safety. We routinely store materials, sure, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be informed. And it's a very real problem we didn't know about this sooner. It's a very real problem we were told yesterday the materials were coming, only to learn today they've been here for a week. We need to find a way to ensure this doesn't happen again moving forward, and that we get the information that our community deserves. I think this is a new moment in public consciousness for understanding how hazardous materials are dealt with. I hope that what happened in Ohio and what is happening now here opens the door for a change in protocol. I hope that all our regulatory agencies at the state level, at the federal level, that they see there needs to be a stronger posture on how we can hold private industry accountable in handling hazardous materials and how we keep the public safe and informed. So I'm going to leave it there and repeat my remarks in Spanish, and then I'll answer any questions. Quiero agradecer a todos por venir. Todos vimos con horror mientras los residentes de East Palestine, Ohio.
Okay, so as they recap everything in Spanish here, you heard the judge speaking there about toxic wastewater used to extinguish the fire following the train derailment in Ohio is headed now to a Houston suburb, Harris County, for disposal. So a lot of concerns there as that wastewater is being sent to Texas Molecular, which injects hazardous waste into the ground for disposal. So a lot happening here, hearing from Harris County now on this as residents in Ohio are still concerned with the situation at hand.